I know very well that in churches all across our nation, throughout the Americas, as well as in Africa and Europe and Great Britain, Asia, and the Indian subcontinent, churches will be gathered this morning to recount the Easter story and announce that its meaning is that the Easter story contains within it the promise of eternal life after our mortal death. This is one of the small fractions of churches that will not take that approach today, though I do want to talk about resurrection in ways that are meaningful to us in the here and the now. From the dawn of human consciousness, there's been a fierce resistance within us to the suggestion that one day the universe will go on without us. Trees are cut down and burned in our fireplaces. Chickens, pigs, and cows are harvested, we say now, for our meals. And all of that seems normal enough. We never hesitate and think, what if God is a chicken and we show up at the pearly gates and there's God surrounded by all the meals that we've eaten for years? But we cannot accept our own demise as easily as we accept the demise of other living things. The oldest story of human civilization comes to us from Sumer. It is the Gilgamesh epic. Gilgamesh was a Herculean character who was so strong that his lusty and gluttonous ways could not be restrained by the people. And so the people prayed to the gods to give them a hero equal to Gilgamesh, and the gods sent them Enkidu. And I'll spare you the details, but after some rather earthy battles, the two become friends and went on these superhuman adventures. But then mortality strikes and Enkidu dies. Gilgamesh, the poem says, grieved so that he could not even leave the side of his slain friend, sitting there for days. And this is the sort of detail that you only get in ancient Sumerian poetry until a worm fell from the nostril of Enkidu. Then he left. Hold on to your breakfast. Unable to accept Enkidu's death, Gilgamesh sets out to find the place where the dead go so that he could find the secret of resurrection. Again, sparing you a lot of details of the story, the upshot of this grand journey was that death is inevitable and final. Now, religious people keep trying to find a loophole in that narrative, and many say that they have found it. But whenever some cult comes along that believes it with enough certainty that they commit suicide so that they can go on into the next life, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus all say that those people were crazy, or they were a cult, or they were heretics. As Sean has sung for us many times, everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die. Resurrection may be a religious denial of the reality of mortality for most church-going folks, but for me, resurrection is a fierce, I would say a bold, a courageous, a determined facing of reality. There are a lot of things that take away life that do not physically kill our mortal bodies. People can acquiesce to living their entire lives in a hostile and meaningless marriage that sucks life out of you one day at a time. You can trade your life for a meaningless job that ruins your health and steals your hours while filling you with boredom and drudgery. And of course, there are deaths that come from unbidden external sources. There's warfare, there are corrupt governments, there's chronic poverty, and there are personal deaths through illness or inescapable structures of poverty. David's song, Purpose in the Pain, takes the various deaths of life seriously and asks the question that Job asked God in our Old Testament literature. Is there a reason for all of this crap? Is there some purpose behind suffering so many kinds of deaths? Now, on the one hand, I'm inclined to say that the universe is capricious. It's mean. It's senseless. As a popular bumper sticker said years ago, stuff happens. But on the other hand, suffering can be very instructive. It can be transformative. I would even say that it can be redemptive. 10 years ago this year, I was fired by a denominational church to which I had given a huge part of my adult life. Never took a single sick day, didn't take much of my vacation, worked 7 days a week, and yet that ministry came to an end in a virtual nightmare. People I had loved sat back and watched. People I trusted lied, some even under oath. People I believed in and had good reason could be counted on to always do the right thing in almost every situation, at least temporarily lost all connection to either reality or morality. What I can say about that now, though it felt a lot like a public assassination, the experience ended up being very educational, even transformative, and I might even say redemptive for me. It liberated me from the last vestiges of a dying and sick theology. It set me free to follow the path of reason in order to discover truth wherever truth could be found. Now, that does not retroactively make what was said and done in those dark days of my life a morally neutral event. Far from it. But a kind of resurrection can make the memory of the pain less and less significant. Even the resurrection narratives in Matthew, Luke, and John insist that Jesus came back to life with all of his scars intact. See, put your hand in my side, put your finger in the nail holes. We don't have to deny our wounds. We just have to defy them and deny them the right to own us, to say who we are. It's a part of our history, it's a part of our journey. But you don't have to keep renting space in your skull to the person you used to be married to the person who didn't keep their promises, or to the employer, the school, or the church that did you wrong. How much space do you want to give to them? I suspect that most of the people who hurt me the most in my life don't waste any time thinking about me at all. Why should I do them the favor of dwelling on them all the time? Now, I'm going to offer a few images of resurrection today that are rooted in this world, in our mortal existence. And we'll punctuate these short stories with music by our local singer and songwriter, David Greathouse, or we'll punctuate some of David Greathouse's music with some of my prose. I don't know which is the correct perspective. We'll let you be the judge of that.
And wonder, and I love to laugh and sing, and if I had to do it all again, you know I wouldn't change a thing. But I'd like to know the reason for the sunshine and the rain, and I'd like to know the purpose in the pain. Another day is laid to rest, the city cries herself to sleep, while the children do the best they can to make it on the street. And in the midst of all her darkness, there's a light on in her eyes that searches reams of reason and begs to be told why. Why is it all so hard? Is there anyone to blame? And if he counts us all as equals, why aren't we all the same? Oh, where is it we go to? Do we ever begin again? What's the motive for the madness? What's the purpose in the pain? Why is it all so hard? Is there anyone to blame? And And if he counts us all as equals, why aren't we all the same? Oh, where is it we go to? Do we ever begin again? Is there a motive for the madness? What's the purpose in the pain? My life in wonder, and I love to laugh and sing. And if I had to do it all again, you know I wouldn't change a thing. But I'd like to know the reason for the sunshine and the rain, and I'd like to know the purpose in the pain. Yes, I'd like to know the reason for the sunshine and the rain, and I'd like to know the purpose in the pain.
Thank you for watching our videos. We are entirely dependent on the donations of our listeners and members. We hope that you find this content to be important enough to help us to keep offering these videos to the public at no charge by becoming a regular contributor. Please click on the donate button on our website at www.spfccc.org. Thank you for your support of progressive religious programming.